It's 10 trivia questions on 80s toys for Patreon subscriber Pate Hogan. This is Trivia with Buds. What it be, and welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds, recording back in my garage in Northeast Tennessee. Thanks for checking out the show. I was on the road the last week. I'll be on the road next week, going back to my old school, Western Illinois University, to do a big show for students on a Friday night. Very excited about that. And my 4 closest friends who lived in a house with me off campus are coming with me. We haven't been back since we graduated in 2008. So if you listen and you're in the Macomb, Illinois area on Friday, October 20th, try and connect with me on social media. Maybe we can meet up and have a beer or two. Right now, we've got an episode on 80s toys for Pate Hogan. Pate gets to pick a topic every single month for $5 or more in donations on Patreon. Patreon.com/trivia with Buds is the place to go to sign up for that. And if you have custom episodes you'd like me to do for your loved ones, send me 5 to 10 topics that they would like in an email, ryanbuds@gmail.com. Tell me what day you want that episode to go out and any special messages you want me to record on your behalf, and we will put that out for you. I think I've done over 100 of those at this point, which is cool, and the price on those will be going up in January 2024. So if you have some events between now and the end of the year, it'll be the last chance to get it at the price point it is now, which is $50 for a custom episode. And you can pay on Venmo or PayPal, ryanbuds@gmail.com on PayPal, or Venmo, ryan-buds. Hit me up. Let me know what you got going on, and I would love to help you celebrate and honor your loved ones. Right now, let's do our warm-up game before we get into 80s toys. We have the letter D, which I think was yesterday's letter as well, if you were listening chronologically. And we have things you plug in, things you shout, and crimes. Things you plug in, things you shout, and crimes, all starting with the letter D. Now, if you're playing with other adults, you can make this one real fun. Things you shout. But if you got kids in the car, keep it kid-friendly. We're warmed up, we're ready to go, and we're jumping into 80s toy trivia. Here we go. It's a quiz for Pate Hogan and everybody else who loves 80s toys. Here's question number 1. From 1980 to 1991, what Nintendo handheld was abbreviated by the letters G and W? Number 1, from 80 to 91, what Nintendo handheld was abbreviated by G and W? Number 2, what brightly colored marsupial bears with pom-poms on their tails were created in 1986? Number 2, what brightly colored marsupial bears with pom-poms on their tails were created in 1986? Number 3, what toy from the 1980s allowed you to create colorful designs by placing plastic pegs into a grid? Number 3, what toy from the 80s allowed you to create colorful designs by placing plastic pegs into a grid? Number 4 for 80s toys, what toy company developed My Little Pony? What toy company developed My Little Pony? Number 5, what toy featured miniature robots that could be constructed and controlled using a remote control? Number 5, what toy featured miniature robots that could be constructed and controlled using a remote control? Number 6, Teela and Orko were characters from what cartoon and toy series? Teela, T-E-E-L-A, and Orko, O-R-K-O, were characters from what cartoon and toy series? Number 7, what board game featured marbles that players moved through a series of obstacles and traps to reach the end of the board? Number 7, what board game featured marbles that players moved through a series of obstacles and traps to reach the end of the board? Number 8, what kind of building was the Ghostbusters headquarters playset? Number 8, what kind of building was the Ghostbusters headquarters? Number 9, what toy and activity kit consisted of sheets of polystyrene that could be cut with standard household scissors and heated to reduce size? Number 9, what toy and activity kit consisted of sheets of polystyrene that could be cut with standard household scissors and heated to reduce size? Number 10, what main color was the original glowworm? What main color was the original glowworm? And the bonus for 2 points, in 2023, TMNT teamed up with what 80s-inspired Netflix series to share a box with 4 character pairs, such as Leo and McHale? Number 11, in 2023, TMNT teamed up with what 80s-inspired Netflix series to share a box with 4 character pairs, such as Leo and McHale? Those are all your questions on 80s toys. We'll be back with the 80s toys answers after I go play with all these toys. We are back with the answers to 80s toys. Let's see how you did with today's quiz on something I love. My basement is full of all kinds of collectibles, and I would say a third of them are from the 80s. I think that's a good assumption. About a third of them are from the 80s, or they're inspired by things from the 80s that they've made new versions of. So there you go. Number 1. From 1980 to 91, Nintendo handheld that was abbreviated by G&W was called Game & Watch. Game & Watch. And I was not familiar with this at all until Mr. Game & Watch was in Smash Brothers. And then I looked it up, and I didn't know the concept of what it was until much later. Number 2, what brightly colored marsupial bears with pom-poms on their tails were created in 1986? Popples. Those were called Popples. I don't remember those very well either. Number 3, what toy from the 80s allowed you to create colorful designs by placing plastic pegs into a grid? That is Light Bright. Just saw a Stranger Things Light Bright edition that I almost bought for my niece, who's a big fan of both those things. Number 4, what toy company developed My Little Pony? That was Hasbro. Hasbro. And speaking of bros, there's a thing called bronies. It's dudes, who are usually adult males, that like My Little Pony. Kind of crazy, but hey, to each their own. Number 5, what toy featured miniature robots that could be constructed and controlled using a remote control? That's an Omnibot. Omnibot. Number 6, Teela and Orca were characters from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Number 7, what board game featured marbles that players moved through a series of obstacles and traps to reach the end of the board? Fireball Island, which was very hard to find after they produced these. I remember the commercials for it, and I don't think I've ever played it, but they've come out with a newer version of it in the last 5 years. I think you can get it like Barnes & Noble. Number 8, what kind of building was the Ghostbusters headquarters? That was a firehouse. Firehouse with lots of cool parts to it. Very fun play set, and I think hard to find complete these days. Number 9, what toy and activity kit consisted of sheets of polystyrene that could be cut with standard household scissors and reduced size when heated? Shrinky Dinks. Shrinky Dinks. Number 10, the main color of the original glowworm was green. Shout out to my buddy Steve Nelson, who used to sleep with one of those well into his teenage years. Green. And number 11, in 2023, TMNT teamed up with what 80s-inspired Netflix series to share a box with 4 character pairs, such as Leo and McHale, Leonardo from Ninja Turtles, and McHale from Cobra Kai. They did a Stranger Things series and a Cobra Kai Ninja Turtles team-up series. They both looked awesome, but I was kind of like, do I need these? I have a lot of turtle stuff, so I was like, do I need these? I don't think so. Cobra Kai was the answer. And there you have it, a fun episode for Pate Hogan and all people who like collectibles. I had a good time coming up with those questions, tried to pick a bunch of stuff I was not super playful with as a kid, like Shrinky Dinks. I didn't know what that was. I don't know what Popples are to this day. Even looking at the picture, I don't know what that is. But there you go. Your fact of the day for today is the word dude is used 161 times in The Big Lebowski. That's pretty cool. Dude is also one of the things that I'm going to give for my answer here. Things you shout out with a D. Dude! They probably say it in Big Lebowski over 100 times, like we just learned. I don't know how often they shout it, though. Things you plug in, I'll say a dryer, like when you move into a new house. And crimes, I'm going to say drinking and driving. Don't do that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. And we'll see you next time for more trivia with Buds. Cheers. Dude!